This PC is old enough that most people would tell you to replace it. And that's exactly what the owner of this PC was planning on doing, until he saw how much it was gonna cost. So I have been getting a lot more messages lately about people wanting to build brand new systems. They either are tired of their current PC and wanna upgrade into something brand new, or they just wanna get into PC gaming, and every single one of them has like the same build in mind. They all want AM5 and DDR5 memory and a graphics card that's gonna give them high FPS, and that's great. But every single time I tell them how much it's gonna cost, you can see the enthusiasm just kind of fade away. It's always in the eyes. They're looking at me. They're not really looking at me anymore. And that's exactly the story for the person who owns this PC right here. He got in contact with me and wanted to know if it was possible that he upgrades to a new system. He was tired of this system. It wasn't performing the way that he needs it to because he wants to play Call of Duty, and this system will not play Call of Duty anymore due to the CPU being too old in here, and he wanted to upgrade to something better. So AM5 was the direction he wanted to go. He wanted DDR5 memory, and he wanted at least a 16 gig graphics card. So I pieced all that together, and we were gonna keep the rest of the items inside of this PC here. We were just gonna kind of swap in and out, upgrade them to a brand new platform, and the total cost with the CPU, motherboard, RAM, and GPU was gonna be $1,000. And that is with the cheapest parts I could find. Well, cheapest white parts. He definitely wanted to stick with the white theme. Now, obviously, when I told him it was gonna be around $1,000 to upgrade his system to what he wanted, and he was still only gonna have 16 gigs of memory, he backpedaled pretty hard, which is understandable because I would do the exact same thing. So rather than upgrade to a new platform, we decided to upgrade the current system that he's on to get him the results that he wants. And if affordability is on the list of requirements for your gaming PC or your gaming PC upgrade, then I think that's like the last option we have, to upgrade the current system that you already own. So for the starting specs of the PC we have here, we have a Gigabyte B350 motherboard, a Ryzen 7 2700X. That CPU is the reason that we are doing this upgrade in the first place. It will not pass the security requirements for the brand new Call of Duty. Generally, what you have to do is upgrade your BIOS to the latest version and enable Secure Boot and TPM 2.0, but unfortunately with a Ryzen 7 2700X, it is not possible. You need at least a 3rd gen and up in order to access those features. So without doing that, you are limited in what you are able to do in Call of Duty because of this CPU. We also have an NVIDIA 2060 GPU, and those are definitely showing their age now, a 600 watt power supply, and 16 gigs of DDR4 memory. Now, the owner of this system doesn't want to spend a ton of money, but they also don't want to have to upgrade their system for a little while. So I gave him quite a few different options, and the options that he ended up taking are a Ryzen 7 5700, a AMD 9060 XT 16 gig graphics card, and a B550 motherboard. For the record, he didn't need the motherboard, he wanted the motherboard, so I'm not here to tell him what he can and cannot have. Now, there are pros and cons to the build that he decided to go with. The Ryzen 7 5700 is an 8-core 16-thread CPU, but so was the Ryzen 7 2700X that was inside of this system to begin with. The difference is the 5700 is about 40% faster than the 2700X, plus it can play Call of Duty. And the 9060 XT will completely eviscerate the 2060 in performance. The con is that the 9060 XT graphics card inside of here is PCIe 5.0, but the CPU that we just put in here is PCIe 3.0 only. So we are going to be missing out on a little bit of performance there, but the difference is so unnoticeable that it's not really even going to matter. I know for some people it really does matter, but nobody's really noticing the difference between 2 or 3 FPS. I mean, I guess if you're running like 20 FPS, you might notice the difference. Now, the new motherboard that he went with doesn't really matter. It doesn't add too much value other than maybe some better VRM cooling and better power management for the upgraded CPU. It can't hurt to have a better motherboard inside of here, even though the B350 would have been just fine. And I told him that, he wanted the new one anyways. So even though this isn't a how-to guide on replacing a motherboard and a CPU in a system, I did feel like it was a good idea to record the process for you guys anyways. It can't hurt to see just how easy it is to get more performance out of your older system. As unfortunate as it does sound, unless something drastic happens, I don't see the price of everything coming back down anytime soon. I do know that everyone is feeling the pinch a whole lot more these days in terms of like bank account security, and that's why I try and do my best to provide options that could be helpful for people who still want to find that time to escape into another world for a while. I know for a lot of people, gaming is extremely important for their mental health. So as far as the total cost goes for this, I am not going to include the motherboard that we're using to swap into our new build because that was a purchase of choice. While I do believe that having the upgraded board is a good thing, so for me, the CPU and the GPU were the only necessary upgrades that we did, and that cost was $644. And I now have some parts that I can sell to decrease the total cost of my upgrade. On eBay, the RTX 2060 sells for around $120, and the 2700X sells for around $55. So if I take that off of the cost of our new parts, we really only spent $469 to get a massive boost in performance from our PC. And that $175 in savings basically means that the CPU was free. Now personally, I am a fan of using used hardware in builds like this, and I would have checked eBay to save a little bit of money on the CPU, but I absolutely understand the security you feel with brand new parts, especially in a build that you already know works well. An important step to remember in a process like this though, is that you definitely need to check on your power supply. You have to make sure that it is strong enough to support your upgrades and that you have the correct cables. This PC has a 600 watt power supply in it, which is plenty enough for the upgrades that we are doing, and the card that we're swapping in here is a 9860 XT that has a single 8-pin connection, which is the same as the 2060 that we removed from this PC. So we are definitely in the clear. But if the owner of this PC hypothetically wanted a 9070 XT, well, we would need a stronger power supply because 600 watts is not enough, and we would need some more 8-pin cables because at minimum a 9070 XT is going to take 2 8-pin cables, and this power supply does not have that. But with our board back in the PC, we can add in our super beautiful new graphics card, and after a little bit of polishing, trying to make this thing look as good as possible without completely gutting the system, it's all back together and it's working wonderfully. And obviously, because this system is designed primarily to play Call of Duty, I obviously had to see how well the system performed in it. And I'm proud to say that at 1440p max settings with zero upscaling, so pure rasterization from the card, we're getting over 100 FPS. And just for fun, I decided to turn FSR 4 on and turn a little frame gen on just to see what kind of FPS I could get. We're getting over 170 FPS on average. Now, some of you guys probably noticed that there are now 2 sticks of RAM inside of here instead of the 1, and I felt like I needed to address that. The reason that there's 2 sticks in there is because I'm extremely blessed to be able to do this, and I have an additional 16 gig stick sitting around my house, and I figure if I can do good, I'm gonna do good. This is a young man's PC, and I'm doing my very best to keep people in the hobby because this is what I love to do. So I'm not using it, he can have it. Now, obviously the point of this video does assume that you kind of have a gaming PC already, but that doesn't always need to be the case. I find AM4 systems for sale on Facebook Marketplace all the time, and you can find them for extremely cheap, especially the ones that are like below the 3600 mark. You can put a 5000 series CPU in there and maybe upgrade the power supply, because obviously you need to make sure that you have the power requirements, but throw in a GPU, throw in a CPU, and you might have a powerhouse system that can get unbelievable gameplay without having to spend unbelievable amounts of money. Because I gotta tell you, I look on Amazon at what they're trying to sell you as far as pre-builts, yuck. I mean, unless you got new PC money, which, I mean, good on you if you do, but so many people don't. For anybody watching who is confused as to why I'm recording like this with this as my background, I am working on something, and you'll see that next week. So make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon, because next week's video is gonna be pretty awesome. I'll see you then.